reshape it in a different way. Instead of 5, 2, let's go with 3 and 4. Just something that is completely different. Okay? Now, if I go ahead and run this one, we got an error in there because even though I have tried to reshape it, this particular array cannot be reshaped like 3 and 4. But can I go ahead and reshape it this way? The same one from the application. Another one. But in that code it is actually running. Why not in here? Because any array of the size 20 into shape 3 or 4 or into the shape 5 or 2. So what if I go ahead and let's say shape it instead of reshaping? Let's shape it first. So if I go ahead and let's say in here array dot shape, let's go ahead with run. It is going to be 20. Now if I go ahead and redo that reshaping, still no. What if I go ahead with reshaping it like this? So what does this give us?
Because 3 multiplied by 4 is 12.
Okay.
And like we have, the array has 20 elements.
Okay. So what about 5 and 2?
5 multiplied 2 just 10.
So what if I did it this way? 5 multiplied by
So the rows in the columns should be, when they multiply, it should be equal to 20.
to 20. So what can
Five.
give me 20? 5
4.
and 4. If I go ahead and reshape it, I will get the correct answer, and it is going to go ahead and reshape it for me. Makes sense? Easy? We'll need a little bit of, let's say, keep track of what you are actually doing, and that is something that you will be getting with practice, but usually this is how we do it. Okay, now once it is actually reshaped, what if I want to get the square? And I will get the square, but instead of actually me getting the square by 2, let's say I do want it to be multiplied by 3, or to the power of 3, let's say, not instead of the square. And let me run it from here. What do you see? What if I run it the same, but instead of 3, I get the square of it, let's say, multiplied by 2.
Express its element in the array.
In?
Its element.
Where?
Then its element of the initial array will be squared by 2.
In here. And here?
3.
Cube. And anything that is added in there that doesn't actually was added in here? If it was square, did we need to add the type of it, that it is integer 32? No, because the numbers are already less, but when we made it as 3 as cube or to the power of 3, what did we do? We increased that, so we needed to make sure that the d type that we have is actually integer 32. Now what if I go ahead and run right now. This is the array. What if I get the sum of it? Is the sum depending on which one? Depending on here or here?
21.
The last one.
Yes.
The last line. But even though when I have run it, it ran the second, like 2 arrays in there, right?
So basically it's became the last memory.
It became the last memory because when I am actually running the second array, it went to the last available array to do it and then took it from there. Now another thing is, why in here did it actually take it? If that's correct, did it take, because when I am actually using, I am using the array, the same part, right? But in here it is taking the array to the power of 2 to the power of 3, right? Why is it taking the original array instead of the new array that we had in here? Because if you look at the numbers, I go ahead and run it like this. If you look at the numbers, let's say from here, what do you see? 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, correct? 0 is not going to change, 1 is not going to change. But what is actually changing? 2. So if it is to the power of 2, 2 to the power of 2 is 2. But 2 to the power of 3, it is 8. So when it actually took the array in here to the power of 2, did it take it from the original array or did it take it from this array? From the original array. But when I asked for the sum, what sum is it? Did it actually go ahead and take? The one that is for the previous, that is for the power of 2. It did not go ahead to the power of 3 and take that. Now, with this, let's change it a little bit. Now, there is one section in here, do you see the arrows where I can actually change how it is located? I'm going to move this particular cell up in here and then rewrite it again. What do you see? It can actually change. Did not change.
Because I think before it can change, you need to rerun.
Okay, rerun where?
Let's rerun the
This
yeah,
one?
yeah.
Okay, if I rerun this,
Yes,
then
so
for the sum, I'm going to rerun it. Correct. So what happened when I changed the lines?
It will take the nearest one.
It will take, well, not the nearest one. It will take the last available number, the array that it is available to it, into the memory. So even though the lines are when I have went ahead and changed them, in the memory, what is the array that is available to it? The last available, that is the one that is to the power of 2. But when I went ahead back one line and run again, because I ran again from the memory in here, it took the last available array. But the second time when I have run the line 29 in here, let's say, I run it, what came into the memory? The array already changed in the memory. So it just became, when I ran the sum again, went ahead and changed that sum. Make sense? Easy? Okay. Now let's keep moving forward. Now, okay. Let's see. I'm going to run the second one so that it is a little bit more easier so that you can see. What if I go ahead with the row sum and the, let's say, the column sum? What do you see? belongs.
think-
So no matter what, it's not going to be running fine. So what if, instead of running this, I run this, or actually, I brought this one down. Down. Okay. I run this one, and then I run this one. Okay, still. So I'm going to run this one, and then run this one, another one. So what do I do? How do I fix that? How do I go ahead and make sure that it is actually in bound form? What if in here, instead of 1, I change that to 2 or 4? Let's try 2. Okay. If I go ahead and run it from here, what if I made it 4?
How about
Let's
zero?
try 0.
0? Okay. 0. What is it? For x is 0, it is there. What if I go ahead and change that to 1? Because I do need that. Usually with the x's it is 0 and 1, right? There we go. Still. So what do I do for that? With 0, no problem. I was able to get the sum. What happened with here? With the x's?
Default of
Okay, yeah, because this is just one dimension.
It is 1 dimension.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean default of arrays.
It's 1 because it is 1. Because no matter what, when I am actually running all of this, is what I wanted you to see.
Because you
When-
use the original array and it's just one dimension.
Mhm.
If you use the reshaped one,
If I have used this, I will have how many dimensions? 4 dimensions. I will need to have, because I have got 1, 2, 3, and 4 in there. That's why when we are actually going to go ahead, let's see with the shaping. I know in here I have set the array to be 20. I'm going to just change it back to 10. And there we go. For the reshape, I'm going to reshape it to be 5 and 10. There we go. And then when I'm going to shape it to actually be never mind that part. I should have it here. If I run this one, no, it is actually running from here, which is going to be a little bit confusing, right?
I think it's fine. You reshape to 5 and 4.
Oh yeah, I have already done that in here. It was already reshaped. But there was something here. After the reshaping, what did we do? You know what? Restart it. Sometimes it's way much more easier. Doesn't wanna go. Ah. Then let's just the parts that we do not actually need. Just delete this. Here, keep it, keep it, keep it. This one, I'm going to actually delete it and then start something that is completely new. What happened here right now? Okay. Oh, it is not defined. Okay. one, this one, this one, this one. There we go. Now, if I'm going to add, let's say, a new cell below. Now I'm just going, it was reshaped, so I'm just going to get the sum. And for the sum, again, I'm just going to copy paste it so that I do not retype it. Let's say run it. Okay. Why? Why is that correct?
That's,
Because you haven't defined the
NP array
variable
two,
and
it's not
key
defined.
array two.
But I clearly defined it before.
yeah, but you rewrote it
Start
already,
again.
so
I restarted, I deleted it, so it is not there anymore. So when it is, but it should have been in the memory, right?
You delete it.
Okay, but it is in the memory. When I deleted it from here.
yeah, but you actually run the kernel, so
Okay,
it left the memory.
so it is going, no matter what, the second you actually go ahead with the restart, everything has been restarted. Even if it is in the memory, it is not in the memory anymore. It is going to reset everything. So how do I actually go ahead with second array? All I will need to do is just run it to make sure that it is actually run. So basically here it should be like this. Go ahead and run it. I will get the array. Now, did I get the array correctly? Did I get it correctly? Are you sure? Because do not forget, when I do actually want to go ahead and get the rows and the columns, what is it that I'm going to get? 2 dimensions. Right now, how many dimensions is this array? 1. So how is it going to be running to? Or for me, or give me the correct answer that I want. So what do I need to do for that?
You need to assign the variable for the array on the input
No,
line.
I think you need to like add the reshape.
Okay, there is one that I needed to actually add right after reshaping, which is assigning it. Assigning it name, assigning it that, okay, it needs to be done in 2 dimensions. Then go ahead, take the whole array and run it. So basically, once I run this one, then I'm going to run this one. And right now, the array just became, instead of 1 dimension, 2 dimensions. So right now, when I go ahead and get or ask for the x's that is equal to 0, that is equal to 1, I should be able to get what? The x's, the correct in there. How am I going to actually be able to run all of that? That is actually easy. All I'm going to do is, let's see, add this one there, run this one. You see the array for the x's that is equal to 1. And when I go ahead to run for the x's for the columns, that is for 0. And I will be getting x and y. Make sense? Now, why is this particular one important for me? Because no matter what, when we are actually going to run, okay, where we are actually going to run, we need to create a vector for this. The whole idea is for us to find what is the similarities, find for, let's say, like that pattern, how long is it, how small is it like on the right or on the left? Does it matter for us? No, but how long is it is actually matters. So for this, what I'm going to do is create the vector right now, and in order for me to create the vector, if I run it, it is going to be like this. Now that the vector has actually been created, I'm going to make sure that to run it as is none in there. Again, if I run it, you are going to see that, okay, what is actually true, what is false for me in that particular. I already got that information from here because I have got like 0, 1, 2, np.none, np.none. So basically it is none, 0, point, 1 point, 2 point, and then none. But when I'm going to actually, if I want to get that information, booleans, is it true or false, I'm going to go ahead with true, false, 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 and then true. Because the values I already got is wherever I have got those nones right at the beginning, it is actually true, true. In the middle, it is false, false, and false. Now, I'm still not done in there. What if I do want to have it like approximation? In this part, then in that case, it is, if I'm going to run it, it is going, you are going to see for the approximation, what did it give me? 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. Of course, with the points, do not forget of that. Yes.
Is there a way to reverse, since we said it's none equals to like true, is there a way to reverse it where none is going to be false and numbers are going to be true?
Why do you need to reverse it?
No,
Just for information?
Yeah.
You can reverse it. I would not advise it in there because the second you go ahead and reverse it, you need to train it. Like anything that you have, if you remember the slide from last class where I had the 3, let's say, for the flowers. What kind of flowers? Maybe it is roses, maybe it is tulips, but each one of those, they are actually trained. So if you go ahead and change it, even if it is just switching them around, they need to be changed, to be trained again. Of course, the training is not going to be starting from the, let's say, from 0. You already had the data. You just need to switch like everything that you have, let's say true is going to be false and everything that you have false is going to be true, and all of that. But either way, in here, I will show you where it is actually going out on that graph. Way much more easier to do it this way. Another thing is, or maybe you know what, let me directly come in here. 1 second, let me just run this particular line of code. Okay, now here I have already added it. Now if I want to go ahead and, okay, now let's put it this way. Run the array. And then if I'm going to go ahead and have it plotted. Okay, do you see? This section and this section in here. Basically, that's what we actually go ahead as true and false in there. That's why, where, if you look at it in there, what did it actually give? It gave a 0, 0, 1, 2, and 0, 1. Make sense? Okay. Now,
How do we know that we need 5 elements in the array?
in the array, you have
Yeah.
already created it in here. How many
Yeah, like
did it actually give
a
you?
23, and how do we know that we need 5 elements in the array?
Okay.
23.
How many elements do we actually have?
Okay.
We
So it
already have
depends
many-
on the rows.
Of course. How many rows?
5.
There. Okay. How many rows that you have? And when we created the array for the x's, how many did it actually give you? For the x's. For the, let's say, for the x. If we go with x and y, how many did it give me for x?
5 elements.
5 elements in here, and for y? In here,
Got it.
we got it?
Yep.
2. So basically that information, we already have it right from the beginning. because right from the beginning when we shaped it as 5 rows, 2 columns. Okay, once that is done, because still we are not there, what if I wanted, now how many of you are satisfied with the line? How many of you are satisfied with the line? Because again, think of it this way. You are going to buy book or paints from Amazon, correct? Is it books or is it paints? Or do you go ahead and combine them both together and buy them together? Let's say data science books with children coloring. How many people go ahead and buy them at the same time? Very few. So in that, right now it is the line. Basically they are going to be separated. But most of the time, you said few. Like it is not definitive that they are both separate. So for that, what I'm going to do is scatter it. Instead of having it as a plot, I'm going to go ahead and have it scattered. See? Okay. Now, if it is right now scattered, what if, okay, let's put it this way. What if right now I have it into multiple lines of code at the same time? Because up until now I've been running 1 or 2 lines of code, right?
Yeah.
What if I have right now, I want to have it a little bit more? Now, see in here, create a figure, and then the subplot. The plot for that one is use which arrays, and basically right now I have got the 2 arrays, the NP array and NP array 2. Then go ahead to the second point, third point, fourth point, and run with them. Good. Now if I go ahead and run this, how many plots do I actually have? 4 plots. Okay. Now I'm going to use the same, but I'm going to change a little bit in this subplot that I have. Instead of you starting from 221, let's start it from, let's say, 321. The second plot I wanted to start from 4 to 22. Third one I will leave it as it is. The last one I will also go ahead with 324. What do you think the end result is going to be?
Error. Oh, different shapes.
Different shapes. Because I have just changed the plot, how it is going to be displayed from. Now,
Question. So basically, the numbers you just change is just for the size.
oh yes, for the plot, how much is it going to be? Now, there is one that I did not change, the third one, correct?
Yes.
The third one, what did I do with that? I left it as 223. While in here it is still 223. So look at it from here and here. If you compare them together, you are going to see that it starts from 0 up until 80, from 0 up until 8, x and y. And here it is again, 0, 80, 0, 8. But the others, the first one, when I have changed it, I did not like make it smaller. I make it actually, let's say, bigger or something like that. So when it started from here, because it was 221, it was again from 0 to 80 and 0, 8. But when I changed it to 321, it just became from 0, 50, or between 0 and 100 in here, and 0 and 8. Now, why I'm actually you are going to see, because I have left the first and the last the same, you're going to see that these two shapes are actually similar to each other for size-wise. But when I went ahead and changed it to 400, that number, actually the range between 0 and 50 just became smaller. Make sense? Now, is it useful or not? Most of the times it is actually not, but in some cases you might need to actually compare how is it actually going to run between different, let's say, kinds of data that you have. So it is always better to know that you have that option, especially if you want to see them right next to each other. Okay? Now, does this mean that I cannot go ahead and run it? I'm going to do the same, and see, but I'm going to change them all into be 100. Run it. What do you see? An error first. Num must be an integer with 1 less than or equal to the number less than or equal to 2, not 3.
So it's too small.
Too small, but not for all of it. Only for the
Just
for
one row.
the third and fourth, if I'm not wrong. It should be only the third and fourth in there, but for the first and second, it actually went ahead. Make sense?
So basically, it's just like guessing, like predicting the size when we are adjusting numbers. It's not like
We're not predicting in there. We already know what is the size that we want it to be displayed in. And I'm just in here so that you can see, you can get an idea how we are going to run it.
So here we have just one row and 2 columns, but we have 3 subblocks, so it
Yes.
only showed 2.
Yes. Mostly yes. Okay. Another is, what if I do want to import an open source library? How do I do that? Do I go ahead, because most of the languages that we write code in always import right at the beginning, because it imports everything for me, right? But in here, you do not need to be right at the beginning of the code. You can go ahead back to the beginning and run it, but again, you can just make sure that you are importing it whenever you need it. Once it is imported, now what if I do go ahead with this one, so that we are actually running with the data set that is correct. To look up, let's say, the SQL learning in there, we are going to go ahead with the data sets there is, and I'm saying go ahead and upload or load everything for me. You are going to see how many did it actually go ahead and load. Not only one data, because I went ahead and said everything they had went ahead and was uploaded for me. Now, okay, let's go in here. They went ahead with the irises, so I will just go ahead with the irises data set. Let's see if I run it. What if I want to print it? There we go. What do we have? How many instances do we have? What are the attributes? How is it actually measured? Now, all of these, they are actually information. You're going to see that the first thing that I have done is actually go ahead, make sure that it is actually loaded. But after that, I made sure to actually write the description in this. Now, what is the minimum? What is the maximum? What is the mean that we get for each of, let's say, the sepal, the petal that we have? Which class does it actually run to? What is the highest that it can go ahead and get? This particular information, it might not make, let's say, any sense to you right now, but think about it this way. Right now in here in Canada, we are actually using centimeters, correct? What if you went to a country that uses inches? How fun that going to be when they are actually expecting a number in inches and they got a number in centimeters? Confusing, right? They will say, okay, this doesn't make any sense to us, or the number is too big. I know it was, it was in England where they were actually using steel pounds in there instead of kilos, and it was a newborn, and they thought that a newborn that came, how much? Oh, they told the parents that newborn actually arrived to be 7, or I believe it is 7 or 8 in there, and they did not specify what. It was funny because they said, what do you mean 7 or 8 kilograms? How is that even possible at that point? So no, they actually returned back and said, no, it is actually pounds. We are just, they are on the smaller side. They explained a lot, but after that, they made sure that that particular mistake does not happen anymore. Why did that mistake happen? Because they did not just read the description. Easy. Just read the description, you will know which section you are actually working with. Another is, if we go ahead to, what is the data set? Now, in here, you went ahead, you printed the description, but right now, I'm just going to go ahead and print the data set. Now, what is this data set? Is it important to us to read, to know what we are dealing with? Some people will go ahead and start reading, but when they are going to say, okay, hey, it is a few rows, we can read it in there, no problem. But keep in mind, look at the scroll bar in here. Because this scroll bar, it is just for this particular array. So they did not only take 1 or 2 pictures, they actually took a lot of pictures in there to make sure that it is actually right. And then you go ahead and finish the data set. Okay, once that is done, now what is, if I go ahead with the shape, here we go, we got that. What if I go ahead with the names? And there we go. What if I go ahead with the target? Now, from here, what does it actually tell you? Shape, names, and target.
Are they independent variables?
Independent variables, if it is independent variables, why is it like this many zeros, this many ones, this many twos?
repetitions. Repetitions.
Repetition?
Multiplicate multiplicators.
How many times was it repeated? If it was repeated. Okay, let's me at the other one. What about the target names? This will make it easy.
One.
How many types of, let's say, pictures do we actually have? Three. So, 0, 1, 2. Setosa, versicolor, and virginica. Correct? So, 1, 2, 3. How many do we actually have from each one of them? How many times do we, like, did we get that information from one picture only? Many pictures. Many pictures for Setosa, many pictures for versicolor, and many pictures for virginica. Okay, what about this one? What did I just do?
Show the first line of the data frame. Yeah, for feature names.
Four features names, which is
Sepal.
sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. Correct? Now, what this one in here, line, let's say 69, run, if I did not run 65 before? What if I went ahead?
It won't show
The heads.
yes, it won't show the heads. The sepalent, sepalent.
So basically this one, even if it is the head, it is not going to run because in here I am making sure that the information I'm going to get is the columns from, that is the iris, feature names, that is going to get with the data. All of it is inside or have it inside the data frame, and then make sure that you run the head and you just show me the very first. Correct?
So I want to run the first one. So if, let's say we don't run the iris.head, and we run the previous line.
We
Is it-
run it without it, like in here, if I delete this.
No, if you delete this, the
If I
iris.head,
delete this one?
yes.
Okay.
Then let's rerun this.
Rerun it? Okay.
Yeah.
It will not
It
show
doesn't
me
bring-
because it is just getting the data. But the data, okay. In any software program that you might need to write, you need to keep in mind two things, let's say. One, you get the information, but that information, when you get it, it is saved in the memory. If there is no place for it, because right now, even though I got the information, I saved it inside the memory, that is the iris _df. There is no place for this to actually be displayed, which is the second part. Get the information, display it. Think about it like any database. With the database, you get the information, you query it, but if you do not have a table or a form for it to be displayed, it is never going to be sent there for it to be displayed. In here, we get the information, we never display it. In order for me to display it, The only thing that I needed to do is just going ahead and printing that information by using the iris, let's say